Downtown of the 816, Kansas City, Missouri, as we come to you from Kauffman Stadium. This is Game 3 of a 3-game series between the White Sox and the Royals. Thanks for joining us. Jason Benetti, Steve Stone along with you. Extra innings has been the phrase of the last 2 days. 14 last night. And when you go that deep into a game, you're bound to have some ups and downs personally.
You have some guys who had a real tough night, but because there's so many at-bats and so many defensive plays, you wind up with redeemers. You wind up with a way to make yourself relevant in the ball game. Tim Anderson with a great play at shortstop. It's Paulo Orlando going up the line, and he's a burner, but not fast enough to beat the arm. And then 0 for 5 with 4 strikeouts. Tim Anderson comes up and drives home the go-ahead run. It looked like it was going to be the winning run, but it was not to be. Lorenzo Cain had an awful night. He was 0 for 6, but this turned out to be the winning run against Matt Albers. J.B. Shuck can't get to it. So a redeemer for Cain. His ball club very happy. 14 innings, it finally ended, and unfortunately this series is now 1-1, looking for the rubber game tonight.
Well, Ned Yost and Robin Ventura are hoping tonight for innings from their starters.
Well, that's certainly the case because they've run through the bullpen the last couple of nights, and this is an interesting matchup because Miguel Gonzalez has thrown it very well recently, although he doesn't have much to show for it. Last time out against the Orioles, this is a powerful team. He went 6 innings. He gave up 4 runs, but only 3 of them earned. And tonight he's going to be opposed by Danny Duffy, who in his last 11 starts, he's 7-0. This guy has thrown it as well as you could possibly throw it. He strikes out 16 in that game. And we'll take a look at what each other is going to see tonight. Last 7 starts, well, you see what Miguel Gonzalez has done. Now, in his career against our Sox, Danny Duffy's been very good at U.S. Cellular, as you can see. But right here at home, which is where we're going to face him, he's 1-1 and ERA up over 6. So he's starting at home against him for the 6th time, and hopefully the Sox can have that kind of luck.
And hopefully everybody stays hydrated tonight. Heat index is approaching, let's say, 110 and maybe more than that. From Kauffman Stadium, Game 3 of the rubber match is coming up next.
Chicago White Sox baseball is brought to you by Miller Lite, the original light Pilsner. Cheers. It's Miller time. Honda. Get the Honda you love at the Honda Summer Clearance Event, now at your Honda dealer. Xfinity. Xfinity X1 will change the way you experience TV. Ford, America's best-selling brand 6 years running, inviting you to check out our fuel-efficient lineup at your local Ford store or at buyfordnow.com. And by your Chicago and Northwest Indiana Hyundai dealers. Test drive their all-star lineup today. Visit buyhyundai.com.
3-game series from here in Kansas City, and this ballpark has been a rather interesting place for the Sox this year. It's been a season's worth of difficult late innings at Kauffman Stadium, including the last 2 nights. Kansas City has come back twice, and Robin Ventura says, look, part of the reason that puts stress on the bullpen is not getting runners in.
Everything catches up with every part of your team when you don't take advantage of things that are there, and that happens the other way around. Just like when you have a lot of runs and you give up some, when you leave, it's kind of like in golf, leaving birdies out there. You leave them out there, and eventually that catches up to you. And I think for us, it'll catch up to you. Instead of having a 4-run lead, you have a 1-run lead, and we play a lot of those games, so it's not like these guys are not used to it. But as well, you want to be able to give them some sort of cushion because they are used a lot, and it's a pass or fail thing when you come in there as a reliever.
You've been in that situation with bullpens that are taxed. How do you deal with it as one of those relievers?
You just have to go out there each and every day as a new day. You can't remember what happened yesterday because it's irrelevant, and you go out there and you do the best you can. In the case of David Robertson, he's done it for many years. There's no reason to assume that he won't do it again, but right now, like hitters, like starting pitchers, you get in a slump. He's in a slump right now. The breaking ball isn't quite as good as it was. It'll get back, and he'll be good again. He just has to go back out there, and the entire bullpen has to work as a team. If they work as a team, things can work well for him. Lately, it's been a struggle, and that's what happens with ball clubs.
To the victor tonight go the spoils of this series. Sox and Royals getting together for Game 3. They file into Kauffman Stadium, and we give you first pitch right after this. definition is brought to you by Xfinity. Xfinity X1 will change the way you experience TV. Duffy versus Gonzalez tonight. 91 degrees right now in Kansas City, and that's cooled off from earlier. Steve, our injury report.
Well, unfortunately for Toronto, that's in the thick of the race. They're going to lose Jose Bautista to the disabled list with a knee strain. And he got it actually making a throw, got off balance, hit his knee on the turf. This year, it hasn't been a Bautista type year, but they thought he was going to come back. It's going to take a while till he does. The injury report is brought to you by Dr. Anthony Romeo Orthopedics. If you have any shoulder or elbow problems, go to RomeoOrthopedics.com or call 312-432-2342. And there you look at what it looks like in the East. The Blue Jays on top by a half game over Baltimore, although they're tied in the loss column. And then it's the Red Sox. They got to catch a couple of clubs. They're 2.5 back. They got a very good team. The Yankees have pretty much cashed it in, despite the fact they're only 7 back. But they've traded away some big talent.
They have, and Alex Rodriguez on his way out the door as well. Mark Teixeira planning to retire very soon. A whole new Yankees team coming next year. That's going to be a fun race all the way down the stretch in the American League East.
I think the American League wild card is going to be an outstanding race. It looks like Washington has pretty much wrapped things up, although Miami might have something to say about it, but they're 7.5 games back. Seattle 7 games in back of Texas. Texas looks awfully tough, and they really did a lot to add at the trade deadline. And then you take a look at, we talked about the East, looks pretty good. Cleveland is doing a good job, although Detroit hanging close. They're 3.5 games back. However, they're on a 4-game losing streak, and it couldn't come at a worse time for them. Going head to head with Cleveland for Detroit is going to be key if they can turn things around in that department. Then in the National League, you've got the Cubs running away with the 12 games ahead of St. Louis. They're going head to head tonight. San Francisco clinging to a 1-game lead over the Dodgers. That's going to be a really interesting race. And so things are shaping up nicely, and the wild card in the National League is going to be difficult.
How about what the Dodgers have done without Clayton Kershaw? You lose somebody like that now. Bud Norris on the deal. They've had nearly 30 players on the disabled list this year, and they are the #1 wild card in the National League right now.
Pretty amazing. Breathing a sigh of relief that Seager did not have a fracture after he got hit with that pitch.
Tell you about the Sox lineup for tonight on the road in Kansas City. It goes like this. Tim Anderson in a new spot. He's batting 7th. Eaton, Saladino, Cabrera at the top. Jose Abreu has been hot. Todd Frazier with a home run in game 1 of this series. And Jason Coates is back from Charlotte in the lineup for the first time since his return.
Let's take a look at how Ned Yost is going to line him up tonight in Kansas City. Billy Burns, first time we've seen him in the series, with Gerard Dyson, who's going to start for the first time. Then Paulo Orlando in right field. Then it's Cuthbert, Escobar, Mondesi, and Hosmer in the infield. Drew Butera gets a nod behind the plate. And Danny Duffy on the hill. Last 11 starts, he's 7-0, 8-1 overall. The ERA just a little under 3. He's got a big over-the-top curveball, only 25 walks, 132 strikeouts. It's been a magnificent year so far. He's allowed 14 home runs, not bad in as many innings as he's worked. The umpires for the game tonight: Mike Everett, the crew chief, is behind the plate. Jordan Baker, the very large first base umpire. Then Tim Timmons and Pat Hoberg rounded out.
Ned Yost, the skipper of the Royals, off a World Series championship and a trip to the World Series 2 years ago. Trying to get his team back in the race. They'd have to make a run just like the Sox. Same record at 54 up, 59 down. And there is Robin Ventura, who has been in this ballpark quite a bit as a Sox player and a manager now. We heard from him in the pregame show, and we are ready for baseball at Kauffman Stadium. Steve, take it away. Oh, you're done doing play-by-play now. 2 nights enough?
I think that I will retire gracefully for the time being. Turn it over to you, because every time I do play-by-play, we go extra innings, and you know, last night was a long way to go.
You are bad for bullpens.
Nice to see you back, and I know you're going to have a good time with Tom in Miami.
Looking forward to it, and get well soon to Hawk Harrelson as well. I've heard that he's doing much better, and expect to see him in Cleveland back with you when you return from your hiatus of a couple of days.
Going to go to Arizona, where might be the only place in the country hotter than here.
Just in case Midwest pizza ovens weren't enough for you, check out the West Coast version, as it's 1-1 for Adam Eaton, who still leads the American League with 7 triples to his name, back in the leadoff position.
Outfield playing him around toward left center field. There's a huge gap in right center if Duffy decides to hang a breaking ball.
On the ground, second base, Raul Mondesi for out number 1.
One of the things we've seen in this series is something that has characterized Kansas City over the last few years, and that has been just lockdown defense all the way around. They lose nothing at third base with Cuthbert over Moustakas. Moustakas lost for the year to knee surgery. Escobar, Mondesi just coming up, and they've been brilliant in the middle, and Hosmer is a 3-time Gold Glover at first. These guys can't flat out pick it.
Tied a club record last night with 3 assists from the outfield in that victory in 14 innings. Tyler Saladino in the 2 spot, playing third base today as Abreu moves to DH and Todd Frazier's at first. In the air, right hand side, foul ground. By the way, official game time temperature tonight in Kansas City is 94. Heat index 106.
I thought you had underestimated the temps. As you can see, the wind is blowing toward the left field corner. It's going to aid anything hit to left. Last night we saw one ball absolutely knocked down in right field, but J.B. Shuck's home run went into the bullpen, so he wasn't affected by the wind.
Fouled back by Saladino, who's 2 for 7 career against Danny Duffy. According to weather.com, it was 91 degrees, but weather.com's not sitting in this ballpark as our official scorer is. 94 degrees. 1-2. Duffy with the strikeout. He has been tremendous recently for Kansas City. As we give you our picks to click for tonight's ball game, the fans go with Jose Abreu. The crew's got Jason Coates. Steve goes Saladino, and Carlos Sanchez in the 8 spot for me tonight.
I've been struggling.
You know what I like about your opinions? That when they're turned back on yourself, they're even more harsh.
Oh, well, I mean, that's just, there's nothing that I can do.
That's upstanding.
Sometimes you go into a pick to click slump. I happen to be in one. I think I had 6 after the first 2 weeks.
Through the left side, what's new? Melky Cabrera has a base hit. He's on with 2 out in the first.
Danny Duffy was a 3rd-round draft pick in 2007. And they felt from the beginning that he was going to be a top of the rotation starter. But unfortunately, he had some problems. 2012 Tommy John surgery, that certainly will set you back for quite some time. In 2013, he was still recovering from the surgery and got a late start in that year. Also a sore left forearm, which is not unusual for guys coming back from any type of surgery. And then 2015 biceps tendonitis. So injuries have curtailed what still can be a wonderful career for Danny Duffy, because he's got excellent stuff.
He hasn't lost, and I know win-loss record, people can debate their merit and whatever you want to talk about, but he hasn't lost a game at home since September of last year. That's 18 consecutive home starts without a loss.
This is actually a very good park for him to pitch, because he does throw a lot of high fastballs, and in this ballpark, yeah, I mean, you'll hit home runs here, but you got to really hit it to get it out. There's no cheapies here.
Right side, Orlando, a long run, and he is there. Orlando puts it away for out number 3. Cabrera stranded. ahead in Kansas City, and here's the lineup for the Royals. No Kendrys Morales today, serving a 1-game suspension for activity on field 9 days ago. Dyson at the top of the card. Perez DHs with Butera behind the plate. Billy Burns just traded for all the way down to Mondesi in the 9th spot.
We'll take a look at the defense, and now Robin is going to line them up tonight. Melky, Adam, and Jason in the outfield with Saladino, Anderson, Sanchez, and Frazier at first base tonight. Yanner Navarro behind the plate. Miguel Gonzalez on the hill, throwing it a whole lot better than a 2-6 record would indicate. His ERA a little over 4. Giving up just about an hit an inning, and opponent's batting average of 261.
We talked in the open about the need for a starter to go lengthier than normal, maybe, with the bullpens getting a lot of work, and Miguel Gonzalez in every start since the beginning of July has gone at least 6 innings and allowed at most 3 earned runs.
It's really been a good run for him, and that's why looking at 2-6 doesn't really tell the tale on what he's done this year.
Speedy Gerard Dyson takes strike 2.
That'll be a good thing to keep him off base, even though he was thrown out on a pitch out last night. He swiped 17, been caught 6 times.
Leader in stolen bases for the Royals, and he has absolutely had Miguel Gonzalez's number and letter and whatever else you're going to have. He is 8 for 10 career.
Going with a lot of confidence when you have those kind of numbers. But not
Make
this
that
time.
8 for 11. Yeah.
That was that good split change that he's been refining, and it looks better and better. And as that looks better and better, so does the performances. You can see the spin on it as we slow it down for you. This ball just dives away from Dyson, who has no chance.
He's the type of hitter that might have given you some trouble, right? Lefty hitter.
Lefty hitter, not a big swing. Yeah, I think they give a lot of right-handers some problems, but that pitch that now Miguel is throwing so well, very few people are going to hit that.
1 out for Paulo Orlando, the right fielder, former White Sox player. Takes ball number 1. 6-game hit streak for Orlando, the Brazilian.
They got 6 guys in this lineup that can run. So they've stolen 70 bases, but this is a night where you want to keep the runners off because they'll be going.
Yeah, this is a speed heavy lineup with Gordon on the bench. Lorenzo Cain is on the bench after the game winner last night, and Christian Colon also available.
Last 9 games, Paulo Orlando has been terrific. Hitting .405, 4 doubles, scored 6, only 5 multi-hit games. White Sox signed him 2005. He wasn't even close to the player he is now. He picked up baseball late, 14 years old, in Brazil. He was taught by some people who immigrated to Brazil from Japan, some Japanese people who love the game of baseball. They taught him how to play it.
He was a pure runner.
Oh,
that was his game.
He's got, I mean, he is very close to Olympic sprinter speed. I mean, this guy can really run. When you see him get started, might not be the greatest base stealer, although he swiped 9 of them, only been caught twice. But going from first to third, those long strides, he's a terrific runner.
2-2. Cold strike 3. Gonzalez opens the game with 2 strikeouts.
Well, if Miguel's going to get that one, it's going to be a tough night for the hitters. This happened to be his cutter, backs up a little bit, nicely received by Navarro. He gets the benefit of the call from Mike Everett, but that ball was inside a bit.
2 down for Cuthbert, who has had an outstanding season at age 23.
This guy's got good balance, hits the ball all over. They absolutely love him, and why not? And the interesting thing in the 3 spot, what you're going to see from him, and we don't know this, they don't know this. He can hit. They don't know if he can be a run producer. You have to learn how to be a run producer. And to do that, he already has a leg up because he can go to right center field, and he will. You see a lot of pitches away if you're going to be in situations with runners in scoring position.
Into left field, Cuthbert, and down. He's on with 2 out.
He's had quite a series. And the young man from Corn Island. That's just about 45 miles off the coast of Nicaragua. It is a territory, Nicaraguan territory.
There are two Corn Islands. There's Big Corn Island and there's Little Corn Island. Cream Corn Island as well. Yeah, the Niblets.
Yes, that's the name of the team that he played for as he was growing up. Well, maybe not.
But you're going to suggest he might have been from Cobb County. Here's Eric Hosmer. Early on the vegetable jokes tonight from Kansas City.
Well, you have to take them as they come along. I thought Corn Island was nice. I have to believe it, and maybe I'm wrong here. Maybe it is a hotbed of baseball talent. I'm pretty sure he's the first major league player to come from Corn Island, but it could very well be that there were many others.
Big Corn or Little Corn?
Well, it depends on which part of the island you live.
Or a Little Big Corn.
Oh.
2 strikes on Hosmer. Glad to be back.
Yes.
Good to see you.
It's nice, and you're coming to a couple of really hot cities, because this is as hot as it's been here for some time, and it makes up for it by being very humid. And then Miami, back to back.
Well, Jeffrey Loria's theme park is indoors,
and that's a good thing, but you're going to have to somehow get there.
2 strikes. Gonzalez off the plate outside.
Spacious dimensions in the alleys here. 387. It's not easy to get it out in the alleys, but when it's hot, when it's humid like it is now, the ball does jump.
Kansas City last in the American League in home runs this year. Back to Gonzalez. He locates it, and he throws out the Royals' first baseman. Cuthbert stranded at first. No score after 1 from Kansas City.
Blog at WGNTV.com, sponsored by Jeff Vukovich, your local nationwide insurance agent serving the area for 38 years. To join the nation, visit jeffvuk.com, because Nationwide is on your side.
Certainly are. Todd Frazier leads off and takes a strike from Danny Duffy, the 27-year-old Californian. Frazier tied for the major league lead with 31 homers entering play today.
Our producer John Walgren has done some rapid research and found there are a couple of Nicaraguans in the major leagues right now. Erasmo Ramirez, yeah. Ramirez, and J.C. Ramirez.
Right. Strike 3. Frazier is out.
I think the JC got Romero on your brain because of JC Romero, the former bullpen left-hander from Minnesota.
Good curveball. It's got tight spin. He keeps it down, and that's really one of the secrets of throwing that curveball, because the curveball is the only pitch out of all the pitches a pitcher will throw. The curveball is the only pitch that actually goes up in the air when it leaves your hand. And so if a guy's got great eyes, the best hitters do, they're able to distinguish that it is a curveball. However, the tighter the spin, the more difficult it is to hit.
So you're saying a true slider will not have that same action?
No, a true slider goes down when it leaves your hand, but the curveball, because you actually are pulling down with the middle finger and pushing up with your thumb, actually goes up, and then depending on the size of the break will go down. And you can either throw it, I mean, you can throw it softly. As long as you spin it well, it's still going to break sharply. Doesn't matter if you throw it soft or hard. You just have to make sure that it doesn't stay on the same plane long.
Right center field, Gerard Dyson for round number 2. By the way, Mark Trumbo has hit number 32 today, so he is now the major league leader all by his lonesome. Frazier and Edwin Encarnacion tied at 31.
While you were gone from the broadcast, working, however, the Little Leaguers, which should have been a tremendous amount of fun, they made some news in Houston. They designated for assignment Carlos Gomez. Are you surprised at all with that?
Not after that play in center field the other night. I think back to when the Astros were in town in Chicago. Gomez had gone on the disabled list, but it was one of those kind of quasi, he wouldn't have needed to go on the DL had he been playing well sort of things. And that usually is at least the first sign of possible problem, as Anderson scorches that ball on the ground for the Sox second 2-out single.
Well, I believe at 30 years old, he's got a chance still to be a good player, but he's going to have to change his attitude a touch. Anderson takes it through the right side. This one actually freezes Mondesi. He actually goes to his right, just a step to his right, and that's all it took, and that ball shoots through on the left.
So Anderson in the 7 spot. We have seen him for the most part at 1 or 2 in the order since his call up in June. If folks didn't see the play in center field, Gomez came in on the ball for a moment, then looked up into the sky, and then it bounced, what, 20-30 paces behind him toward left center field.
He actually made 2 bad plays in center field that same game, and I think not only does that irritate your pitcher, but I do believe that your manager starts to wonder if you're wandering mentally in the field. And the fact is, he just wasn't hitting. And this was a guy who put up some sparkling numbers. I mean, you go back to 2013 and 2014, he had combined 47 home runs and drove in 70. Well, he had 74 steals. So you look at those numbers and say, geez, this guy, combination of big speed and power,
bunch of tools there,
should be a star. He just wasn't.
Up the middle, base hit for Sanchez. Anderson to second base. That's pick-to-click material right there, wouldn't you say?
There's a long way to go in this. I'm still waiting for Tyler Saladino to unload on one.
We may have to roll back the tape from, let's say, every game in which your pick-to-click gets a hit in the second inning. See what the reaction was then.
I mean, the screaming and yelling and jumping around and cheering and blowing of horns. Yes.
That was really interesting that one night you brought the 3-piece band to celebrate your pick-to-click single in the second. Strike 1 on Jason Coates in his 23rd at bat in the major leagues. Sanchez at first, Anderson at second.
What makes Duffy as good as he is as well as the obvious fastball curveball combination. He's got a very good straight change if he chooses to throw it.
He's thrown it according to the numbers, about 16% of the time this year. Fastball 62%, slider around 20%.
Well, it's interesting to call it a slider. It's really not. It's a curveball, and he throws it straight over the top or high 3/4. And you know, pitchers, it's funny because pitchers can call pitch whatever they want to throw it, whatever they want to call it, but it just depends on they release it.
Yeah.
And when you release it with spin that's mostly over the top, it's usually, or has been for many generations, called a curveball.
Isn't it funny what guys call the pitches?
Yeah.
No matter what it looks like they're throwing, they just kind of lean on, hey, this is a slider, even though it doesn't have that motion.
Just call it a strike and you're going to be in good shape.
That one hung on him. Coates swats it to right center field. Anderson around third. Tim is safe, and the Sox have the lead. Jason Coates with his first RBI.
Well, he goes to either a curve or slider, whatever it was that hung in the middle of the plate, and Jason Coates, the third of 3 singles, and then running on Dyson, who does have a good arm. He can't get it there near in time, not with the speed of Tim Anderson. So with 2 out, nobody on, the single by Anderson, 1 by Sanchez, now 1 by Coates, the bottom 3 in the order have produced the run.
Somebody get that man that baseball.
That would be nice. I think he'd appreciate that.
Eaton to left field, down the line, and foul. Got to get it authenticated first and then get him the baseball.
It's pretty amazing. It hasn't been the greatest year against the Royals, but this is the 12th game, and 9 times the Sox have taken the lead. You would think that would have allowed them to fare a bit better, but Kansas City has been a comeback team against our Sox.
Especially in this ballpark. The shortstop, Escobar, just got Eaton at first. Sox get a run. Jason Coates, first major league RBI and a 1-0 lead. Two-out run for the Sox at the top of the inning as the first lead on the board, and Miguel Gonzalez will oppose Salvador Perez first in the home second, and a first pitch strike from Gonzalez, who's 4 out of 5 at first pitch strikes so far.
Perez just a very good player, a great catcher, and gets timely hits for him.
Popped it up third base side, and no chance for Saladino.
Against our ball club this year, he actually got in a collision with Cuthbert at third, and for a while it looked serious. For a while it looked like it might have ramifications the entire year as you look at his career against Miguel Gonzalez. But a lot of people feel that the time he spent on the shelf, and it was 7 or 8 games, something along those lines, maybe 9 games, actually helped rejuvenate him, because this is a guy that plays just about each and every day. Somewhat remarkable for a catcher.
Yeah, Drew Butera, the backup, has the plate today, and he's really a 1 out of every 7-day guy for Kansas City. 1-2 from Gonzalez.
That collision happened on May 28th. He signed as a 16-year-old back in 2006. That worked out pretty well.
Now age 26, 10 years in pro ball for Perez. 3-2 now from Gonzalez, who allowed only a 2-out single in the first.
You never know how every at bat is going to work out, but you do know one thing: this guy does not like to walk. Neither of the guys, the guy you're looking at or the guy at bat. He's walked 15 times in 371 at bats.
Swing mode there on 3-2.
Picked on a good pitch that time. That ball was in the zone. Perfect spot. Deanna Navarro coming out. And hopefully he's okay, because now Hermie's coming out along with Robin. Wow, this does not look good. Well, right there, and I think they're going to. Well, Robin says get somebody up. He might be bringing somebody in.
Wow. Just the facial reaction by Gonzalez.
He throws a perfect pitch here, but he came away, and he's going to leave this game.
He's been, since being signed in April, especially in the last month plus, has been a very important part of this Sox rotation. Gonzalez is leaving, and Inoa is coming in after the Sox used 5 relievers last night. Inoa will get as many as he needs. We step aside, 1-0 Sox here in the second inning.
purposes, they're going to try to squeeze as many innings as they can out of Michael Inoa. He is 1-0 this year. Made 12 previous appearances. There you look at the numbers. Opponent's hitting .255, which is good. He's had some problems with his control. 11 walks in 14 innings. And because it was an injury, he'll be able to throw as many as he can. And right now he's throwing from about 75 feet away, trying to get that arm loosened up.
Michael Inoa, by the way, and this is not a start, as you said, but it is as close to a start as you can have without it being a start. And his last start came on September 1st of 2013. While with the Stockton Ports of the California League. He went 2 innings in that game.
And the interesting thing about the psychological aspect of what's happened here is that you've got a stadium full of people. There's probably 30,000 plus. They're all waiting to see something happen. And you've got to make sure you're entirely loosened up. Make sure that you're feeling pretty good about all of your pitches. So you have to loosen all of them up. And the reason is that you're sitting around and you're not doing anything. Michael usually has come in a little later in the ball game. Nobody anticipates a starter, especially one who had a relatively easy first inning. Nobody anticipates you're going to be in the ball game this early. So you're not doing a whole lot. Many times when you feel a pitcher is having some problems, you'll see guys in the bullpen start to not loosen up throwing. You'll see them loosen their body up. You'll see them stretching their legs. You'll see them sometimes with a weighted baseball. They'll do some exercises to get your arm loose, get some blood flowing in there. But he hasn't had a chance to do any of these things, and so that's why they're given as much time as possible to loosen up.
And he's got basically sudden death with Salvador Perez. He comes in not only in an odd situation inning wise and in terms of advance notice, but he's also got a 3-2 count on Perez.
If he doesn't give up a hit, it's actually a good situation to be in. The reason being, he's inheriting a 1-run lead. That's number one. Number two, if he strikes him out, is his strikeout. If he walks him, it's Gonzalez's walk. As far as a hit, he gives up a hit, it's of course charged against him. But anything else, he retires the guy. And this is a situation where Gonzalez, who is worried about a lot of things right now, none of them as far as this run is concerned. But there has been many instances in baseball history where a guy will leave a 0-0 game in a situation similar to this with a man on, wind up losing the ball game because the guy coming in next either walks him or gives up a hit, but not a hit, but walks him, and then he scores. You find yourself with a loss. But right now he's worried about health. If we get any notice at all, and we will certainly let you know as soon as we find out, because anytime a pitcher leaves that was throwing it as well as he was throwing it in the first inning, there's always cause for concern, and he was doing so well. A big part of what this rotation is, and you have to ask yourself who's going to fill that spot. And you brought up a very good point with a possibility.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the Sox bullpen, and it is speculation, right? This is speculation, but you look at who would be the guy that's most stretched out in the Sox bullpen. It would be either Carson Fulmer or Jacob Turner. Those are two guys, but Carson Fulmer would be on the list of guys that have been stretched out here in 2016.
So we'll have to see what Don Cooper, because there's a lot of things going through his mind right now, exactly how he wants to do it. But before anything is done, there's going to have to be a lot of meetings going on with Rick Hahn, talking about how they want to proceed, because it looks to me when you leave a ball game this early, he's going to be lost for a while. We hope it's not a long time. We hope it's not a disabled situation, but he could absolutely be lost for a couple of starts. And again, we will let you know. So Michael is ready to go. And the big advantage of 3-2 is he's got a guy that likes to swing the bat.
Yeah, Salvador Perez is one of the free swingers in Major League Baseball. Escobar to follow, Butera after, and Inoa settles into the mound. It's an 8-minute delay officially. And Perez gets hit. of all of the different scenarios you brought up, we did not discuss the hit by pitch.
I didn't bring up getting hit, but of course that is charged to Inoa, not Miguel Gonzalez. So if somehow Perez can get out of the way of that, it would be Gonzalez's walk. It's not, and he winds up aboard. And that's the fourth man that Michael Inoa has hit.
Yeah, the other option that, you know, if you've been watching the Sox even the last couple of weeks, the guy who pitched very well at Wrigley Field, Anthony Renato, is an option down there with AAA Charlotte. This is again if there's a need in the rotation, depending on the injury to Gonzalez. One strike on Escobar, who was intentionally walked twice last night. For a moment, about a week and a half, there were two Inoas in Major League Baseball. Rafael Inoa of the Colorado Rockies was in the majors, up from AAA. And now he has gone back down to Albuquerque. So Michael Inoa is the only Inoa in town.
You could never have too many Inoas.
The knowledge is power.
Escobar's grounded into 11 double plays. He's another guy that doesn't like to walk. 19 walks and 462 at bats.
On the ground, Anderson can't collect it. It's into short left, and Perez got caught in between. He was thinking about breaking for third, decided against it.
They give him an E6. Ball's hit hard. Tim is there, and that ball takes a high hop on him. That probably should have been a base hit. He's going to get charged with the air.
That one, speed plus hop.
Well, yeah. I mean, he hit it awfully hard, and plus it went at him with overspin. So when it hit, it kicked up in the air. And maybe they'll look at it again, and maybe they'll take the air away from Anderson. But as it sits now, that's his 7th air, and this is 52nd game.
2 on, nobody out for Butera, who's slugging .526 this year, and takes ball number 1.
He had an opportunity to win the ball game last night earlier than it was won. But he was the first of 3 strikeouts with Dan Jennings on the mound. A leadoff triple by Gerard Dyson. And then Butera, Gordon, and Escobar all going down on strikes with the game on the line.
Bunted foul, 1-1. A lot of chances both ways last night in that 14-inning game, as you expect to see when you play 5 after 9. Butera in search of a double of his sacrifice bunt total. There's the bunt. Inoa off the mound. And second and third, 1 out for the Royals here in the 2nd inning.
Navarro has to make that call, and for a bit looked like it might have been butted too hard, but Yanner was yelling first all the way. With the play behind the pitcher, he trusts the catcher, and I'm sure he doesn't want to take a chance on opening up a big inning. Salvi Perez slides in, so he gets the job done, and he does double up his sacrifices.
Official word on Miguel Gonzalez, right groin strain. One out. Billy Burns, the batter, over from Oakland in a trade for outfielder Brett Eibner. And by the way, that news on Gonzalez is much better than what it could have been based on the whole body being a possible injury.
If it's obviously if it's not anything to do with his arm, it's a whole lot better, but groin strains have a tendency to put you on the disabled list.
The Royals and A's made this deal. Burns for Eibner. Both guys went to AAA. As you see the run expectancy, Sox are allowing runs 70% of the time, right around the league average. Both guys were in AAA, and now both have come to the majors pretty quickly with their new teams. Good mutual benefit there so far. Tap to the mound. Noah to first. No advancement from Perez. 2 down. So, by the way, get yourself warm immediately. Then field the ball twice, make the right decision twice, and keep a run off the board. That's the charge for Inoa.
Mondesi looking for something that he can drive, although he's not a power hitter. They believe that he's got a chance to become a factor as far as driving the ball. He's still very thin. He's still very young. And he's got great speed. We've seen him play just a brilliant defense in this series. Has yet to really do a whole lot with the bat.
His dad could, that's for sure.
His dad could hit. Former Rookie of the Year with the Dodgers when he came up. His dad could also throw. He had a magnificent arm.
Two and 0.
I think the last thing you'd want to do is to walk him, and if Mondesi is thinking about that, knowing Dyson's coming up next, a pretty decent hitter, Mondesi is going to just sit fastball. If he gets anything else, you've got to take it. But if he sits fastball, he's probably going to get one.
On 2 and 0. There it is. It's a strike. 2 and 1.
You could have been sitting fastball there, but that one just shaped off the outside corner. So a pretty good pitch. It's amazing that Billy Burns was traded by Oakland. Now Eibner got some power. Looks like he's got a chance to be a good player. But last year, Burns hit .294. 520 at bat. So that's really good.
Seemed like an Oakland type player that they would hang on to for a while.
Yeah, there's nothing here when you take a look at what he's done so far. He had small part 2014 in the major leagues, all of last year, so it certainly isn't the fact that he's in line for the big money.
2 balls, 2 strikes on Mondesi. Everything away so far in this at bat. That was center cut, and Mondesi missed it.
Get a switch hitter with the kind of speed he has, and he can also bunt. We've seen that in this series. Now he's had a whole lot of sacrifices so far. He's tried to bunt for a hit once and came up a little short on that. But it was a good bunt.
2 and 2. Swing and a miss. Strike 3. Mondesi got a late break, and he is out. Inoa with a nifty job to tap dance around 2 runners, and the Sox maintain the lead thanks to the pen. 1-0.
It's time for the Subway third inning triple play promotion. Text Subway 3 to 97999 right now. The 300th texter will win a $30 gift card to Subway restaurants in the Chicagoland area. Subway, fresh is what we do.
First pitch, third inning. Down low to Tyler Saladino, who struck out in the first. He's now 2 for 8 against Danny Duffy in his career. One of those two was a very important one to Tyler Saladino. It was his first career home run. Flash it back to last year at U.S. Cellular Field in July. And there is number 1 for Saladino. Escobar. One away. Do I have to do an impersonation when I read this?
No.
The White Sox are proud to present Star Wars Night at the ballpark Saturday, August 27th, when the White Sox take on the Mariners. First 10,000 fans receive a free Southpaw Star Wars bobblehead. To purchase tickets, visit whitesox.com/Star Wars.
Well, you will see it up close and personal in Miami when Tom reads those promos as Tom. He doesn't fare quite as well as when he reads them as anybody else, whether it's Vin Scully or the Schmengi brothers.
He does look a little like Eugene Levy, doesn't he?
There's no doubt.
Ball 1 to Melky, who singled in the first. High into the sky and fouled away. Great crowd here tonight. Capacity has declined since the renovation by about 3,000. It's now 37,903 here at Kauffman Stadium. With school starting very soon in Kansas City.
And also they've ridden the crest of what winning teams do. I mean, the year after you win, and they had 2 great years in a row, you draw pretty well.
Melky's 2 for 2. This a 1-out single in the third.
Year before last, they came 1 game away from winning the World Series.
The Hug King is at it again over at first, by the way.
Yeah. Early in the game yesterday, from the television side, Rex Hudler, who you wouldn't call sedate exactly, I don't think. You would call him wrapped a little tight. He's high strung. He came over and he thought that perhaps the hugs might have been excessive.
Really?
Yeah, he wasn't a big fan of it. Of course, he came from, I mean, Rex was one of those guys that left it all on the field. He played really hard. If he had a shot at you, he would take it, which is fine because it was good, solid baseball. But he's not a big fan of the opposition. You're on your team and they're on theirs. Now Melky has a completely different philosophy.
Hey, Eric. How's it going? Good. How are you? Did you give Rex a hug when he came over to say that?
No, he was psyched up, as only Rex can get. If you know him at all and you have been around him at all, he has a certain way that he reacts to baseball games. Again, he's a very high-strung guy. And there's a look at Rex Hudler.
He's even intense right now looking at that monitor.
He's really intense.
Dial it back, Rex.
He's remembering the days when he used to pitch in Little League.
Ball and 2 strikes on Abreu from Duffy. Pfister, first base. Hosmer extracts himself from the embrace of Melky Cabrera for out number 2. Here's Todd Frazier, who struck out in the second inning. You mentioned Rex in his Little League days. This guy was quite the Little League player himself, a Little League World Series champion, Todd Frazier.
And as a pitcher and a hitter, he was dominant. And again, he was probably twice as strong as anybody in his Little League team.
Teenage heartthrob Todd Frazier in Toms River, New Jersey. And he still watches. He says he still watches, still cares about the kids from Jersey who are in it this season.
I think it's a wonderful event. I actually broadcasted 1 year.
Did you really?
Yeah, I broadcasted 1 year before they had an American division and
there was
an
just one
international
championship.
division. Yeah, you had to. I mean, it depended on the draw, but you had to play a lot of international teams to get to the finals. You might remember that year, Kirkland, Washington. They won it, and Cody Webster. Cody Webster was maybe, he looked to be about 5'9", 5'10". He was about 185 pounds, a little bit bigger than most of the little leaguers. Threw very hard, and they won it. It was really a thrill, but it was a lot harder to win it back then. When you won it, and not saying that it's easy now.
I was going to say, are you giving me the both ways uphill argument now? Back in the day when you did Little League, it was tougher.
Well, the little leaguers had to walk through the snow to get to the ballpark to actually compete in that. You know, it wasn't just like it is now. You drive up in Williamsport and you play the game. Then it was difficult. There were alligators and everything.
Strike three. Frazier bitten by Duffy. One left on. And we go bottom three. 1-0 Sox in Kansas City. Lead, bottom of the third, and Sox first baseman tonight, Todd Frazier. At the end of that at bat with his strikeout, he was commiserating with the plate umpire Mike Everett. Little chat. Todd would have a long conversation with a sofa if given the opportunity, however. So
I'm sure what he probably said was, look, I'm a little taller than you, Mike, so that looked a little low to me. It probably was in your strike zone, but in mine, I thought maybe that was down and out of the zone.
You have a future in comic strip thought bubbles, I think.
If I could draw, I would actually do that, but I would have to have a comic strip with no people, no anything. I can't draw anything. Stick people I can draw.
Bunt, third base side of the mound. Noah, nice play, well done.
That's just an outstanding play. You're not going to see many better, because he knew if he did anything but barehand and throw in the same motion, he's not going to be able to get Gerard Dyson. This is just a great play. I would say 90-some% of the time he's in safely. Off balance throw, he gets it there a half step ahead of Dyson. Boy, defensively, that's as good as it gets.
How about the accuracy of that throw with the inability to step into it?
Yeah, it was. I mean, that's just a brilliant play.
Ball one to Orlando, who struck out against Miguel Gonzalez, who left the game after 4 batters and then a 3-2 count on Salvi Perez. Official word is a right groin strain for Gonzalez, so it'll be the bullpen to eat up at least 8 innings tonight in Kansas City. He's going to need a new bat next time. Anderson for out number 2 here in the 3rd.
That was a good play because Tim came in rounding it off to make sure that he was in position to make the throw, knowing that Orlando has great speed. So you watch him as he comes in. He starts to round it off, and that allows him to get rid of the ball quickly. If he charges that ball straight ahead instead of rounding it off, he's going to take an extra step. That might have been the step that cost him the out. Good play.
Why the extra step if you don't round it off?
Well, because you're coming straight in and you're not in as good a position to throw it. And he wanted to get something on the throw. So when you round it off, you're going to be throwing normally off your right foot. You're going to be getting as much as you can on the throw. And he knew that he had to get it there quickly, but get something out of it because you just can't flip it there. That guy's going to beat it out. So 2 speed burners caught on 2 very good plays.
You said it early in the game that the Royals have their speed lineup out, and we have seen the Sox forced into some stellar defense the last couple of innings.
Well, you have to with this team. If you allow their runners to get on, it's going to be very difficult. Deanna's going to have to be icing his arm between innings.
1-1 to Cuthbert.
Last 35. Chesler has been very good. You can see why. Yes, the loss of Moustakas was a bad one, but this guy, in every aspect of the game, now might not hit as many home runs. Eventually, I believe that he will. Now he won't. But defensively, I mean, they're ecstatic with the defense that he's provided. A lot of people think he might be a touch better than Moustakas. And at 23 years old, you'd have to believe that he's going to eventually get to 20+ home runs, even in this ballpark.
He's got 9 already this year, and he didn't start the season with the team. Right field side, Jason Coates, who has the lone Sox RBI tonight, squeezes out number 3. 1-2-3 inning for Inoa, who's gone 2.
Sox fans, you can manage a game along with Robin by logging on to WGNTV.com and click on the WGN Sports Game Zone banner for the latest stats and information. Sox Game Zone is powered by Dodd Camera, which is family owned for 125 years, handling all your photographic needs. Dodd Camera, where the focus is on you.
We petitioned to do the game not from the press box today, but from those waterfalls and the fountains out there in the outfield, but that didn't go through. Something about the electronics shorting out.
We could have done it probably without the on camera at the beginning of the show. That would have been a little difficult.
On the ground, shortstop Escobar got him. Hosmer had some work to do, and he made the play.
Well, he realized that Leonard doesn't run very well, and so what he did was have time to back up. Instead of going out and trying to force the short hop, he just backed up, and for the most part it was a one hop throw that became fairly easy to handle. Hosmer's got just an outstanding glove, and he's a good defender.
Well crafted mitt.
Yeah, very good.
One down for Anderson. Escobar, long run. He's not going to get there. That's a base hit. Tim Anderson, who was 4 for 26 in August before today, is 2 for 2.
But he does pick up another multi-hit game. He's done that a whole lot early in his career. Maybe he really likes the 7 spot. You know, that's a spot for him, and we haven't seen it tonight, but that's a spot for him where he'll get the opportunity to drive in some runs.
Changes the depth of the lineup too. Mix in somebody who could be 1 or 2 in the bottom part of the lineup.
I also like the fact that from the 7th spot, if he does get on, he gives you another dimension they haven't had at the bottom part of the order, which is a guy who can steal a base. Maybe not against Duffy, but against most guys.
Sanchez 6 out of 9 career against Duffy, including a single in the 2nd inning tonight. And one more check on Anderson. Hot day like this, are you really going to check on the runner more than normal? Does it not bother you?
No, I think you're thinking about a 1-0 game. You don't want to see get to 2-0. He knows that Sanchez has hit him well. He also knows that Anderson has great speed. He just wants to make sure that he doesn't give him the stolen base. If he gets a stolen base, he wants him to earn it by running on first move, which opens you up to getting picked off.
Cuthbert, odd hop, and he handled it well. Throw to second is not in time. Anderson back.
That was a heads-up play by Hosmer as he went behind Anderson, thinking maybe he was going to wind up off the bag. He did round second base, but he's able to get back in under the tag. That was close at second. Good solid play by Cuthbert. And the first RBI of his major league career for Jason Coates. And that normally merits a Mazda replay.
Normally.
We'll have to see if it pops up after this pitch, perhaps.
On certain nights it would. But
Except
not tonight. Coates on his way, and he is out. Mondesi smooth for the final out of the top of the 4th. 1-0 Sox with the lead. 1-0 Sox on an RBI for Jason Coates. And we go to the bottom of the fourth. Michael Inoa pitching with the injury to Miguel Gonzalez, officially a right groin strain. He is undergoing evaluation. First pitch, bottom 4. Popped up by Hosmer, who grounded out to Gonzalez in the first inning.
Take a look at that on base percentage. Pretty good.
The slugging percentage for the year at .434 for Hosmer. He's got just 3 extra base hits in the last 25 days or so.
You know, it's unusual because watching him take batting practice, he does a lot of things right. He'll drive the ball to left field. Saw batting practice yesterday, and he was hitting the daylights out of it to the opposite field. He's always had good plate coverage. He's got long arms. He's 6'4". And when he drives the ball that way, he gets lots of production. I think what happens with him is he's pulled some fairly long home runs. When he gets into pull mode, that's when things don't go quite as well average wise.
2-2 on Hosmer.
That one had good late movement, and that's a ball that you have to take to left field, because if not, if you're trying to roll over that one, you've got big problems.
Had an outstanding year last year, Hosmer. Career highs in a bunch of categories.
Michael got that one up there at 96. He made a whole lot of news when he originally signed as a very young man with Oakland, because he had a great arm. Since, like so many young pitchers who sign at that age, he wound up with some arm difficulties. But
still very lively. There's strike 3.
If he keeps throwing them like that, he threw him 2 strikes that were absolutely unhittable. That one had great movement on it. Take a look at the late sink on this one.
So 1 down for Perez. Yeah, 96 to 89 fastball to slider.
It's Carson Fulmer loosening up in the pen. If Michael can get through 3 and keep it right where it is at 1-0, he will have done quite a job coming out of the pen unexpectedly with the departure in this ball game of Miguel Gonzalez. There's a look at Carson Fulmer, who, because he was a starting pitcher before moving into the pen when he came to the major leagues, you got to give him a little more time to loosen up. And that's one of the reasons why they've allowed him to loosen up this inning. Odds are that he's going to throw in the 6th.
Two balls and a strike.
That one just a touch wide.
Sounded like it went off the post. A goalie's best friend.
There you look at some very impressive numbers. Through 2 1/3. He hit first man he faced, Salvador Perez. Then an error on the very next play, so he comes in cold out of the bullpen and in a terrific jam. But a couple of ground balls back to him and a strikeout, and he was out of the 2nd.
Two balls, 2 strikes on Perez. You mentioned the American League wild card race, and the Red Sox at 61 and 51 entering play today. The ship has not sailed for both of these teams here tonight. You'd have to go on a major run, but the ship has not left the port for the Sox and Royals.
Oh, but I can hear the horn.
Sure that's the horn?
There's a look at the standings. And as you can see, the Orioles, who won their ball game tonight, we'll talk a little bit about their closer. And then the Red Sox with the Tigers, who are in a slump, the Mariners and the Astros.
Called strike 3. Perez punched out. And we remind you to join the White Sox in honoring Chicago area police and fire departments Thursday, August 25th. First 10,000 fans receive a special police and fire night commemorative T-shirt presented by UL. For more than a century, UL has been committed to fire safety. Learn more at ul.com/fire. Purchase tickets at whitesox.com/PDFD or call 866-SOX-GAME.
The Oriole closer, Zach Britton, his 35th save today, but the big news is 39 straight appearances with no earned runs. That covered 38 innings. It set an all-time major league record. We saw him in Chicago. It's hard to believe anybody hits him at all because he was throwing 97, 98 mile-an-hour sinkers. Guys had no chance, and it's just been a remarkable year for him. At last look, he'd given up 22 hits, and I think now 47 2/3 maybe.
It had been, it still is, since the Sox got him for an earned run in April.
Yep.
The last time he'd allowed an earned run.
Just a pretty amazing transition from a guy who was a starter and he was okay to a guy that moved in the bullpen and all of a sudden gained 4 or 5 miles an hour.
Noah has been pretty special tonight. 1 and 2 to Escobar. Noah. 4 out, number 3. 9 in a row retired by Michael Ynoa since the first 2 reached. It's 1-0 after 4. It's a road edition of Sox Math, America's second fastest growing sensation. Use the hashtag SoxMath and the first correct answer wins a prize off the prize shelf. Kauffman Stadium was open in what year? Multiply Justin Morneau's strikeout total before tonight. Add the area code we're in and subtract the number of total pitchers used in last night's game. Hashtag SoxMath. First correct answer wins a prize off the virtual prize shelf, which we've brought here virtually to Kansas City.
Cuthbert in close at third just in case Adam Eaton, who's grounded out a couple of times, is thinking about a bunt.
I don't know how Sox Matt's going to go tomorrow with Wimpy. He's counting on his fingers here in the booth tonight.
He's probably one of the best at that.
Counting on his fingers?
No.
Or sitting in the booth?
Sox math and sitting in the booth. It's the first time in 3 days here I've seen him where he wasn't eating.
By the way, commendable job on play-by-play the last 2 days. It was enjoyable to watch.
It was fun working with Tommy, certainly, and we had a chance to spread our wings because the games were a little bit longer than normal.
Oh, I hadn't heard, Steve.
Yeah, they went on for a bit.
I was getting ready to come and relieve you of your duties last night. I landed about the 11th inning and was on my way to the ballpark when the game ended in the 14th. Duffy, the strikeout. One away here in the 5th.
You say that now, but I don't see you dropping into the park anytime soon last night because I was looking for you. I was running out of gas.
I was hustling to the ballpark. I really was, as only I can hustle. One out for Saladino. Four strikeouts for Duffy. He's allowed just the one run. In the air, center field, Dyson. Out number 2. Saturday, August 27th. Come see the White Sox take on the Mariners. 6:10 p.m. All fans are invited to stay for a spectacular postgame fireworks show presented by Magellan Corporation. For tickets, call 866-SOX-GAME or visit whitesox.com. What do we have on the virtual prize shelf tonight here in Kansas City? In Toronto, we had a bunch of knickknacks having to do with the place we were in Toronto, Ontario.
Yes, well, here, let's see. We have a unicorn. And you know that they're mystical.
Yeah.
And mythical.
Both.
And wonderfully good looking little horses with horns on their head. So we have that. And we do have, yes, we have a plastic box in the back of the booth that's filled with candy, which everybody seemingly from the neighborhood comes in before the game to eat. So we have that.
It's Halloween every night in the visiting TV booth in Kauffman Stadium. Right field, Orlando for round number 3. 4.5 deep, 1-0 Sox with the lead.
Speed replay. We'll take a look at Michael Enoa fielding his position tonight. He had to handle 4 plays. This was an easy one, a sacrifice bunt. This was not a difficult one. but a big out. Billy Burns, this was a great play. A bunt. Throws Dyson out at first base. And then he fields his position very well. You're the fifth infielder. You've got to field your position. The Speed Replay is brought to you by Xfinity. Xfinity X1 will change the way you experience TV. So Carson Fulmer comes into this. And he's got a good slider. Will throw the overhand curveball. And depends on a lot of movement on a fastball that's not overpowering, but it's pretty good.
Ball and a strike on Drew Butera, who sacrificed in the second inning. That was to move 2 runners over against Inoa, who got a ground ball and a strikeout to complete that second inning, his only inning with runners on for Kansas City. Recent Sox draft pick Carson Fulmer, and news from the Sox draft class of this year. Zach Birdie called up to AAA Charlotte today from AA Birmingham.
When you get over the plate and you throw 100, you're going to move up rather quickly. He was the second first-round draft pick, and they were very happy that he was sitting there when they had that pick. Plus, he's a local area product.
Downers Grove. That's a strike. 3-2 for Butera.
You want to ask Drew to foul one off here?
Sure.
Okay.
Drew, quick thing. Nope, strike 3. How's that for you?
Well, that's good. Serves the same purpose. The fifth inning is brought to you by Fifth Third Bank. Now get access to over 45,000 fee-free ATMs nationwide.
One down for Billy Burns.
What a job by Michael Inoa. Not only fielding his position, but he threw 3 innings, came in cold out of the bullpen when Miguel Gonzalez left the game due to injury. 3 strikeouts, and that's it.
Fulmer braces for it and throws out Burns. 2 down.
Well, he's shown, Billy Burns has, that he likes to go back through the middle, but he's been unsuccessful twice. It really helps if you score off your delivery. They call it following through. You follow through if you don't fall off too drastically. If a right-hander too drastically at the first base side, you're able to field your position, because normally, with the exception of a lot of these radical shifts, normally that hole back up the middle is the largest hole in the infield. If you can field your position, you're going to win a whole lot of games, and that's one of the keys to Mark Buehrle's success. He was such a great fielder. He did seal up the largest hole in the infield. Greg Maddux won a number of Gold Gloves, and he won 355 games, made the Hall of Fame, because there were very few guys who could field like he could. And
Maddux, the best you ever saw?
Jim Cott was as good as there was. He was a generation and a half maybe behind Greg Maddux, but I think Jim might have won more Gold Gloves than Greg. But they both were spectacular. And again, because their follow-throughs were so good, they were squared off to the hitter. So we've seen a lot of guys one hop get hit in the posterior these days. Usually, just a rule of thumb, if you're not facing the hitter when he hits the ball back to you, you can't make the play.
Sizzling first inning for Carson Fulmer. 1, 2, 3, all on the infield. 1-0 Sox. question tonight because Morneau's strikeout total 0. So the top 2 are 0. 816 is the area code. 14 pitchers used last night. The answer is 802. ATF 13 ATF is your winner for Sox Math this evening from Kauffman Stadium.
We do have another prize on the virtual prize shelf.
Just added.
Just added.
In the air left field, and Burns has to play it on a hop. Abreu has a leadoff single.
Jose's been hitting it very well. He's got that batting average up over 280 these days. And the prize, kindly donated by Tom Paciorek, is, if the winner of this so chooses, Tom will take you back to Hamtramck, Michigan, the place that they have the statue of Tom and his family because of their athletic prowess, and he will take you on a guided tour through Kowalski's sausage extravaganza. It's all things sausage at Kowalski's. And is the Polish Hall of Fame there? Where is it? It's in Detroit. Well, you can make a stop off after you eat 8 or 10 sausages.
That's an excursion, all expenses paid. Left side again, Burns and Escobar. The call from the shortstop, Escobar, for out number 1.
By the way, is it true, this was a rumor, is it true that you were just recently added to the College Hall of Fame? The Baseball College Hall of Fame.
How about that?
Congratulations. Where is that located? In Hamtramck also?
It's in Lubbock, Texas.
Wow, that's
I know I've been
impressive.
gone for a couple days, but you willing to have a conversation with me too, or?
Well, when you and I get into the College Hall of Fame, which is probably, I mean, you got a chance, I don't. Maybe never. That's pretty impressive.
I have a chance at the College Hall of Fame? Which College Hall of Fame?
Whichever one. I don't know. You went to Syracuse, I know.
The earliest average bedtime for a college senior?
They don't claim you. And then Wake Forest Law School.
Fouled away by Navarro. 1 out, 1 on. That sounds like a great prize, though, for the prize shelf. I hope our winner selects it.
so does Tom, I'm sure.
Tries to claim it via this phone number. 2 strikes. And bumped foul again.
Duffy has had a hard time with the Sox in this ballpark. He's had an easy time with the Sox at U.S. Cellular Field. But tonight, despite throwing 7 singles, he's only given up the 1 run.
Second base could be 2. It is 2. Mondesi, Escobar, Hosmer. Quick inning for Duffy despite the leadoff single. Still 1-0 Sox. With Papa John's Pizza all season long. The day after the Sox win, you get 50% off your entire online order of regular menu priced items only at papajohns.com when you use promo code SOXWIN at participating Papa John's locations. Better ingredients, better pizza. Papa John's. 1-0 Sox with the lead. All.
Tickets $98, 2 hot dogs $10, cotton candy, a dentist delight. A date with my daddy is priceless. That's a great sign.
Family at the Bullyard. Nothing beats it.
Nope.
Top of the order for Fulmer. And ball 1 to Gerard Dyson. Kansas City so far in this game only has 3 base runners, 1 hit.
3 base runners, and because Perez was ahead of Escobar, he couldn't take advantage of his speed. So if you have a speed lineup and you don't get runners on, you've got a problem.
Again, the Royals tonight are without Kendrys Morales, who's serving a 1-game suspension after he came back onto the field against Tampa August the 2nd. He was appealing that suspension. He's dropped the appeal and taking the suspension tonight. So the Royals have a 3-man bench.
Yeah, that's really the only reason to appeal a suspension, is to pick out the day you want to serve it, because when you're taken out of a ball game or thrown out of a ball game and you come back on the field, you're going to get a suspension. That's just kind of the deal.
Were you ever suspended in your major league career?
I tried very hard, but no, I couldn't get suspended. There were some years when I wanted to be suspended the last 2.5 months of the season, but nobody would suspend me. There were some years when the team would have liked me to get suspended. Because the first 3 years I was 5-9, 6-8, and 6-11. There were a lot of teams that would have liked me suspended, but no, I managed to go through completely unsuspended and never thrown out of a game.
Really?
Yeah. I always felt that you had to make friends with umpires if you're in a position of throwing pitches for a living, because if he decides not to call the corners, you've got some big problems. And because we had umpires when I played, they were not major league umpires. There were American League umpires, National League umpires. So you'd have the same guy behind the plate 5, 6, 7 times a year, and you get to know his strike zone. And you also, if you made an enemy in him, you had some problems, a lot of problems. You didn't want to see that too often.
Just low. Borderline 3-2, which raises the question then, did you ever make an enemy of an umpire for that long of a time that he could or you could remember?
Yeah, it was one of the games I started. It was a game where the umpire was having trouble calling a curveball, and for me, if you had trouble calling a curveball, it usually wasn't going to end well. But I had come over from the National League into the American League. I won't mention the umpire or the city, but suffice to say that he had some problems, and then told me one more word and he would throw me out.
That's low for ball 4. Dyson is on. The burner to first for Kansas City.
So the short end of a long story is that in the wintertime, we had a restaurant. I was involved with a restaurant group. We had a restaurant group, and I sat, and a woman came up to wait on me, very nice woman, said, "You work with my father?" And I said, "Really?" He said, "Oh yeah, he's an American League umpire." I said, "Oh really?" And she told me his name. I said, "You know, he's one of the best umpires in the league. You should have seen the strike zone I got thereafter from this fellow."
Is that right?
Yes. So that, put an end to it. So I guess, unfortunately for me, I didn't employ all of the umpires' families, but it's not a bad thing.
In case you feel like you're getting squeezed, go open a restaurant. That's the takeaway for young pitchers across America.
Write a letter to the umps and tell them you've got jobs for their offspring.
Throw to first, not in time for Dyson.
I have a feeling that we're going to see him at least attempt a stolen base here. It's a 1-0 game. It's been that way since the 2nd inning. And you have the man who comes in routinely late in the ball game to try to steal a base to either tie or win a game late. Dyson always gets a good lead.
3 straight years with 30 or more steals in the majors from 2012 to 2014 for Dyson. There he goes. Pitch out again. Navarro, second base. In time, they got him once more.
That was a good pick and a good tag by Anderson. Now the question is, and I think Ned's going to want to take a look at it because Dyson is looking in. He doesn't want to leave the bag quite yet. Second night in a row they guess right on a pitch out. This throw isn't as good as the one was last night. So the question is going to be, and this is going to be a tough look at it, did the hand get in before the tag on the back? The tag is on the back. He's saying he got his hand in, and because Tim did not stay with the tag on him long enough, Dyson came off the bag. And Tim's going to learn that it's best to keep the glove on him. Now, he was coming across the bag. It was a tough ball to handle. It was a short hop. But as hard as Dyson went into second, it's almost impossible if you're going head first like that to keep your body on the bag the entire time. One part of it's going to have to come off before he swept over it with his hand and then try to hook it with his leg.
It's an official challenge. They're seeing it on the video board in the ballpark, and the fans that are partisan for Kansas City say safe.
Well, he had to come up a bit with the tag because the throw is in. It looks to me like the hand was in, but you know, we saw last night on a play at the plate and had a challenge, and it appeared that Omar Narvaez was in at the plate. They didn't say that he wasn't safe. What they said was we couldn't find definitive proof.
And that's the standard, and the standard's important.
Yeah.
It's got to be definitive proof, not reasonable doubt, nothing of that sort. It's got to be definitive proof. And we will see what the call is here from the umpires. Safe. Yeah, Dyson steals his 18.
Yeah, it looked to me like he was safe, but one of the things that Tim is going to learn, and maybe not on that particular play because it's difficult, is he came across the bag on the short hop, but he's going to learn to keep the glove on a base stealer, especially those guys that come in awfully hard and they come in head first. That's number 18, and he's at second with nobody out, representing the tying run.
Guy who's swinging a hot bat. Orlando on a 6-game hit streak. Against Carson Fulmer. Well, 2 nights in a row the Sox have been correct on a pitch out against Dyson. This time he was too fast and beat the tag in. Two 2-0 on Orlando. Fulmer, no play at third, over to first. Dyson 90 feet away from a tie. Orlando essentially a sacrifice. It goes as a ground out.
Well, Carson did the right thing. I mean, he took a look and realized there was no play. Then you go to first base. That's Mike Jerschel, the third base coach, as he talks with Dyson. Going to have to bring the infield in at all 4 positions. If he tries to get him at third, 1, he's not going to, and 2, you really open it up for a big inning.
Cuthbert, the batter, he has a hit tonight. He has a second hit tonight. The Royals are on the board. This one goes tumbling to the wall for Cheslor Cuthbert, who's digging around second and peeling for third. The throw is not in time.
We talked about Cuthbert in the 3 spot. They're trying to make him a run producer, and one of the ways you do that is to be able to hit the ball to the opposite field. And because he's got such good balance and waits long enough, he's able to take this ball into the gap. This is a slider that stays up, does not stay down. He drives it into the gap, drives in his 36th run, and this is one of the great triples parks in all of baseball. It's a close play at third, but the throw is just off the mark. And Cuthbert is in.
Second career triple for Cheslor Cuthbert. And now the Royals are 90 feet from the lead with Hosmer swinging at strike one. What a talented young third baseman the Royals have.
He had 3 hits in the opening game of the series. He had 2 hits last night. He's got 2 tonight.
Hosmer loops it to left. 2-1 Kansas City.
And what Hosmer failed to do against Inoa, which is take that low outside pitch and just dump it into left field, he went up with the idea of having a defensive at bat. He was going to put the bat on the ball through a drawn in infield. He knew he had to hit the ball in the air, and it turns into gold for him. He drives in run number 64. Good piece of hitting, and it's a 2-1 game. Kansas City. This is almost the exact same pitch that he tried to pull with Inoa. No contact, but here, knowing he has to hit a fly ball with the infield in, he does it right. Kansas City takes the lead.
So the leadoff walk has come back to roost in the 6th inning. Cuthbert the triple, Hosmer a single. And here's Salvador Perez, who was hit by a pitch and struck out after that. Ball 1. Well, the Royals, who have surged the last 2 nights late in the game,
they do make contact. And unlike last year, where they were the toughest team in baseball to strike out, they're still tough, but they're 6th toughest to strike out these days.
Frazier the tag on Perez, Hosmer to second, and Escobar the batter. You wouldn't think the Sox would intentionally walk him here. They've done it twice.
I don't think it's a bad play with Butera coming up, because Drew hasn't swung it real well. I mean, this guy's going to make contact. He usually does. And for them, he hasn't been a great clutch hitter, but he's been a very good clutch hitter for Kansas City.
He had been at the top of the lineup. They've since moved him down to 6. And you look and you say, well, 2 intentional walks against a guy who's got an on-base percentage of .280 coming into the game, but your point is well taken. He's a contact guy, so in certain spots you don't want a contact guy up there.
Contact hitter who uses the whole field.
It's not to say there's not a good argument the other way, that he's a guy that you are more likely to get out than some of the other players on the team, but that's the reason to maybe bypass him in a big spot.
Well, he's hitting down in the order these days instead of on top because of that on-base percentage under 300.
Ball and a strike for Escobar. Back to the mound. Fulmer is there, but the Royals tag Carson Fulmer for 2 in the inning. Kansas City has taken its first lead tonight. It comes in the 6th. Sox have 9 outs to play with to get a run or more.
debit card only available at your local Wintrust Community Bank. Go to wintrust.com/White Sox to learn more. Wintrust Community Bank, member FDIC.
Top of the 7th inning, Kauffman Stadium. Tim Anderson, Carlos Sanchez, Jason Coates all have hits in the game, and they try to get the Sox back in the run column after the Royals took the lead 2-1 in the home 6th. Now, Tim Anderson has had a magnificent start to his career in the majors with all the multi-hit games. How about David Dahl of the Colorado Rockies with a hit again today? He now has a 17-game hit streak to start his major league career, which tied a major league record today.
That's pretty impressive.
He has tied Chuck Alano of the 1941 Cincinnati Reds. A St. Louis born infielder, Chuck Alano. Duffy has strikeout number 5.
That was a good straight change. Even though it was up and out of the strike zone, you have a very aggressive young hitter who expands his zone, and it was location and velocity that fooled Tim that time. Well, a guy who is not just starting his career has put together some kind of streak. Jason Worth of the Washington Nationals has been aboard 40 straight games. That is a tremendous on-base streak.
For a guy who there were questions, hey, why do you give him that long of a contract? Will he start to deteriorate? Even last year, 2 years ago.
And I talked with Mike Rizzo about that, and he said, look, he loved what he could do for a ball club in the clubhouse. And really the key with him is staying healthy. When he's healthy, he's a really good player. He's gotten hurt a little more than they would like, but they still like his ability.
Escobar for out number 2.
Now time for our Mazda replay, and it's the first at bat in the 2nd inning, driving in the only Sox run of the night. Jason Coates. Looping single to center field. It was the 3rd of 3 singles, and Tim Anderson scores the lone Sox run. Our Mazda replay.
As you prophesied just 3 innings ago.
A little bit later. Yeah, it was on the shelf. He swung at the first pitch, which is a problem. Not for him, but a problem for the Mazda replay.
I'd love to see your TV broadcast magic 8-ball that you shake to see if outcomes are going to happen.
It's right. It's time to do this. Nope. Maybe next time.
Strike from Duffy. 1 ball, 1 strike to Jason Coates. You remember the first time we saw Danny Duffy this year, he went 4 1/3. He was still stretching out as a starting pitcher.
And they were limiting his pitches. So he's another guy, when healthy, awfully good. And lately he's been very healthy. Last 11 starts, 7-0. Tonight, 6 2/3. He's scattered, because he's only given up 1 run, scattered 7 singles. No walks. That's been the key to this outing.
A couple starts ago, he went 7 innings of no-hit baseball. Desmond Jennings broke it up with a single in the 8th in that 16 strikeout
That
game.
was the 16 strikeouts. That's pretty impressive. Well, apparently that game in Chicago irritated him, because since then, in 11 starts, 7-0, 2.74 ERA, opponents hitting nothing, 2.08, and strikeout to walk ratio over 4.5 strikeouts for every walk.
3-2 on Coates. And Danny Duffy has navigated 7 innings tonight and 76 pitches here at Kauffman Stadium. Stretch time, the locals lead by 1.
Major League scoreboard and the schedule. Ought to be in Minnesota for that doubleheader. 15-7 and 10-2.
5 games in double figures today in Major League Baseball, including the battle for the Braves. Milwaukee and Atlanta once again getting together.
A lot of runs scored most everywhere but here. Arizona scored 9 against the Mets. The Mets really struggling. We told you about Baltimore, 9-6 against Oakland.
Carson Fulmer back on for his 3rd inning for the Sox. Miguel Gonzalez went 1 inning plus a 3-2 count on Salvador Perez. That ball's well hit right center field, but not well hit enough. Eaton on the warning track for out number 1. Join us for Elvis Night and postgame fireworks as the White Sox face the Seattle Mariners Friday, August 26, 7:10 p.m. For tickets, visit whitesox.com. Steve Stone, which Elvis song will you be singing for Elvis Night?
Rainy night in Georgia.
Come on.
Not so rainy night in Georgia.
Is that the sequel?
Yeah. Probably because Elvis wasn't one of my favorites.
Really?
No, I know.
What have you done?
I know it's startling, but I was more a rocker than Elvis was.
Elvis could rock.
Yeah. So
Jailhouse rock.
So could Lawrence Welk, but
a 1 and a 2.
Yeah. Yeah, just not. I never really.
Not the movies. None of that. You.
Well, certainly not the movies. Yeah.
Blue Hawaii.
Yeah, well, that was a good one. I mean, I'm surprised he didn't get the Academy Award for that, but.
Which Academy?
Yeah, just, you know.
Well, it'll be fun. We'll get you sideburns. We'll rubber cement them to your face for Elvis Night.
Boy, I participated in many Elvis nights and Hollywood nights. See, that's more, you know, that's a Bob Seger thing. That was more to my liking.
Can we go ahead and turn the page?
Ooh, I'd like that one too.
2-2. Burns to right field. He thought about 2 and slammed on the brakes.
First time he didn't try to go back up the middle, and it turned into gold for him. So now you got another speed burner on base. He's got 14 stolen bases, been caught just 3 times. This is a pretty good slider. But many times left-handers who make contact, maybe a home run hitting left-hander, doesn't hit that ball all that well, but because he's got a short swing, he dumps it into right field. And you got to believe that he's going to be testing Deander Navarro.
Now Mondesi, the batter, the son of Raul Mondesi, the former major leaguer, who hit his final home run in this ballpark. He hit 3 homers in this ballpark. The older Raul Mondesi. The final one was August 15th of 2002, so about 14 years ago. It came against former White Sox closer Roberto Hernandez, who was then playing for the Royals, while Mondesi was hitting 6th for the Yankees. And the batter 5th for the Yankees that day was Robin Ventura.
Which way was the wind blowing?
Let's check the annals of history.
That was before they moved the fences in too, by the way.
That's right.
I mean, this is tough to hit a home run these days, but they've moved the fences in, and it used to be really tough to hit one here. Very good lead at first base. The bullpen last night was used quite a bit, as you would expect in a 14-inning game, and so Robin, with his starter departing after just 1 inning of work, he realized that he was going to have to get some innings out of Manoah and now Fulmer. And for the most part, they've done a very nice job. You know, it was brilliant. 3 innings, 3 strikeouts, and nothing else. And Carson, who is learning to be a relief pitcher. Not the easiest transition from a guy that started most places that he ever was, and now toiling out of the pen.
One and one to Mondesi. Burns holds, and Mondesi swings at strike 2.
There's look at Tommy Kahnle loosening up in the pen.
Bobby Thigpen under close watch. Burns at first, 1 and 2, and another throw on Billy Burns, who just picked up his first Kansas City Royals hit. Will he soon thereafter have his first Kansas City Royals stolen base?
No, because there's going to be a pitch out.
There it is. Here's the throw. Billy Burns is out at second base.
That's why 1 and 2, you honestly you have nothing to lose by calling a pitch out. If it's 2 and 1, it's a problem. 1 and 2, guys in the dugout made a very nice decision. They cut down Burns by plenty. I mean, the ball is waiting for him to arrive. All kinds of time. DeHonor makes a very nice throw.
Little teaching point there maybe for Tim Anderson within the game. He held the tag on for much longer.
Well, he was able that time, because the throw stayed in the air, he was able to get to the bag and actually wait for Burns to arrive. So a much easier tag. And they took one of the speed guys off.
Wondering when I might be able to get my Steve Stone tarot cards delivered to me.
When you win that unicorn that's on our virtual prize shelf.
Comes with, huh?
Yeah.
3 and 2 for Mondesi. Popped it up back of home.
That was right in front of the booth.
Sure was. You're a staunch advocate of when it's 1,000 degrees out, keeping the windows closed, and it may have just saved us.
Normally, I would certainly like the windows open, like in April.
In what normal world is that? 2-1 Royals, 7 deep tonight.
Game, Royals on top. Sox about hit the Royals 7-4. Gonzalez started, had taken out the second inning with a groin strain. Coates, first major league run batted in, and Cuthbert, a huge series.
Adam Eaton leads it off and takes a strike. Here in the 8th inning, Sox got their only run on a 2-out, nobody on rally in the 2nd inning.
Get the Honda you love at the Honda Summer Clearance Event. Now at your Honda dealers.
Nice tag.
And no, there's no and. That was kind of it.
1 strike for Eaton, who's 0 for 3 with 2 groundouts and a strikeout. Danny Duffy, his longest outing of his career came on July the 2nd of this year. That was in Philadelphia. He went 8 2/3 and threw 110 pitches. Eaton to left, played perfectly by Burns, 1 out. White Sox fans, don't let aches and pains keep you from doing the things you love to do. Schedule an appointment at any of our 340 facilities by visiting Athletico.com/appointments. Athletico, the official physical therapy provider of the Chicago White Sox.
This is where Ned
Athletico, better for everybody.
Ooh, jumped on the tag. Sorry about that. This is where Ned Yost used to be a push button manager, because at this point he used to go Kelvin Herrera, a lockdown 8th, Wade Davis, impossible to hit in the 9th. But with Wade Davis gone and Herrera pitching in 2 straight games, things a little different tonight.
That's where, as an American League manager, you have less to do in terms of manipulating the lineup with pitchers not hitting. When you have an injury, presses you into action.
You have a tendency to let your starter, especially when you're talking about 82 pitches. He's in the 8th inning with an out. He's only at 82 pitches. And one of the keys, no walks, so you let him go as long as he possibly can. When you're not used to completing games, it's really difficult to do it. You've got to actually learn to do that. And in this era of baseball, you just don't have too many guys completing games. So he would like to see him probably finish up this ball game, but not going to be easy for Duffy, even with the good stuff he's got tonight.
3-1. Saladino in the air, right field. Orlando in the glow of the scoreboard for out number 2. Melky's 2 for 3. He has 2 of the 7 hits for the Sox, but Duffy, since allowing the leadoff single in the 6th, has retired 7 in a row. He's somewhere around 90 pitches. You have to let him go out for the 9th, right?
84, yeah. I mean, right now he's doing it comfortably. He's throwing strikes. First tip-off will be if that curveball starts to roll. It hasn't yet. It's still breaking. Or if he starts to walk a guy or two, which he hasn't done. I mean, he's still moving the ball in and out, up and down. So the stuff is still there. And that's, rather than the pitch count, what Dave Island is looking at is the stuff and how it looks coming out of his hand. And right now it's still looking good.
You saw it in May against this very batter, Melky Cabrera. You saw Danny Duffy starting to fade a little bit, even though he was strong early in that game. The Sox hit him for back-to-back homers, but not here in the 8th. Nothing doing. 1, 2, 3 inning for Duffy. 7.5 gone. 2-1 Kansas City.
game is none other than Danny Duffy, who's gone a strong 8. Scattered to 7 hits with 1 earned run, no walks, 5 strikeouts. That's been the norm. Retired the last 8. Wrap your hands around the official Italian beef, the Chicago White Sox, at one of the 19 Bona locations. And Tommy Kahnle comes in. He's 0-1. He's on for the 14th time. His ERA a touch above 5.5. Carson Fulmer threw the ball pretty well. He gave up the 2 runs. He is the pitcher of record. He gave up 3 hits. And the bullpen has performed admirably when you consider that they were a little short. They were looking for a long outing from Miguel Gonzalez, but a groin strain, a groin injury, curtailed that performance tonight. So some nice work out of Manoah and Fulmer. Handing it off to Kahnle here in the 8th.
Albany native Tommy Kahnle against Gerard Dyson, who was the catalyst of that 6th inning. A leadoff walk. He came around to score the then tying run on the Cuthbert RBI triple.
Well, it all started with the walk to him, because anytime you walk a guy that's this dangerous stealing bases at the top of the inning, you've got some problems, and that led to 2.
If you're looking ahead to the top of the 9th, the Sox will have Abreu, Frazier, and Navarro. Then Anderson scheduled up.
You were commenting about it at the beginning of the game. This is an old stadium that's been kept fairly much up to date. Looks completely different than it did in the early days, because in the early days, the marketing they did in the Ewing Kauffman days were the ball club. They marketed the ball club in a very good one they had. And
85 champions.
Yeah.
Strike 3. Dyson down looking, 1 away.
Now there are a whole lot of signs around, because that's what baseball has gotten to. I mean, you want to make the added revenue because the payrolls have gone up, but it's a good looking ballpark, and they have done a nice job.
It's a much different look too without the artificial surface.
Well, it's a much more comfortable place to play, because we've had just burning heat in this series. And remembering the days when I played on this surface, the artificial surface, same thing in St. Louis, it would be 135 degrees off the turf on a day game.
You'd have to ice your feet after innings, right?
It was just horrible.
Kahnle to Orlando for strike 1.
It was not unusual, and people think, you know, wow, how does that happen? But it wasn't unusual for a pitcher to lose 10 pounds or more in a pitching performance if he went deep into the game, a starting pitcher.
In one game?
In one game. You just, I mean, you tried to drink, you couldn't keep up with the hydration, and that's what it was like in those days.
Half swing foul for Orlando. Join us for Selfie Sunday, August 21st. Fans that purchase this special ticket offer can join us in the morning to take selfies with select White Sox players. Visit whitesox.com/Selfie Sunday. $10 pounds in one game.
Yeah,
that's wild.
I remember they were pitching a July 4th game there, a day game, and you could see the heat waves coming off the field.
Kahnle has 2 strikeouts on 7 pitches.
Yeah, that shows you just how difficult it is to hit a high fastball at that velocity. Because if you get it, you're getting it letter high or above, you're just not going to do anything with it. And Orlando swung through it.
7 hits in the series for Cheslor Cuthbert, who's charged with continuing the 8th inning.
I would think, if you think back to the 6th, that triple probably deserves our 4th drive of the game. Well,
there it is.
In the 6th inning. Into the gap in right center. He drives in the tying run and then sprints all the way to 3rd, where he eventually was in position to score the go-ahead run. Our 4th drive of the game.
He did score that go-ahead run on an Eric Hosmer single 2 pitches later. And the only 2 runs tonight for Kansas City are enough right now. 2-1 in the 8th. The one hopper from Canely.
One of their top prospects, Hunter Dozier, is also a third baseman. He's hit 21 home runs this year in Double and Triple-A. So they have an embarrassment of riches at third base because Moustakas is coming back, a free agent year next year. Cuthbert has been magnificent, and Hunter Dozier, they're playing him in the outfield, trying to get him used to playing someplace else because his bat is major league ready. And not only in Kansas City, but major league ready bat plays. You just got to find a place for him, and it's a little easier in the American League.
1-2. He goes upstairs with a breaking ball, and the inning's over. Canely strikes out the side. Another close one for the Sox. 2-1 Royals. To the ninth we go. Duffy's coming out. TV Premium, the #1 live streaming sports service. Watch every out-of-market game live in HD on over 400 supported devices. It includes a free subscription to @Bat Premium, the #1 app for live baseball. Blackout and other restrictions apply. Visit MLB.tv for details. And Jose Abreu dodges pitch #1 of this top of the ninth. Danny Duffy going for his first career complete game.
He's about ready to deliver pitch number 89 and try to accomplish something he has never done.
What has he done well tonight? What have you been most impressed by?
No walks, and the fact that he has hung very few of the curveballs, and he's thrown them at a couple different speeds. You can't go into the ninth inning with less than 90 pitches unless you don't walk anybody. So that's been impressive.
Second base, Mondesi saves a hit.
And when you're on that mound, you got a 1-run lead, and this is going to be the first game you'll ever complete. Occasionally you need a line drive hit at somebody, and Mondesi goes up and saves him some problems with that play.
One down for Frazier, who's got 31 homers this season. That includes a game winner 2 nights ago.
Kelvin Herrera, who's worked 2 nights in a row, coming out once again, and he is ready if need be.
Upstairs 2-0 on Frazier.
That was one of the few curveballs that he didn't get any spin on, and the fortunate part for him was it hung high out of the strike zone.
A 27-year-old left-hander out of California, Danny Duffy, hasn't allowed a base runner since the 6th. Frazier in the air, left field, and Burns. 2 down.
There was one of the first signs in that at bat that he doesn't have quite the same stuff. The reason being, he not only had that curveball spin out of his hands, but that fastball was supposed to be away. In a situation where a home run can tie you or beat you in a ball game, you want him to hit it opposite way. If he's going to take you out, let him take you out opposite way. That fastball was right down the middle, and he got away with it. So he's 1 out away.
Keanu Navarro against Danny Duffy with 2 out. Ball low. Sox got Duffy for a run in the 2nd inning on 3 straight singles, and that's all tonight. 1-1. Two balls and a strike on Navarro, with Tim Anderson coming next.
Anderson has been one of the few guys that have seen the ball very well. Melky has 2 hits. Tim Anderson has 2 hits.
Two and 1. Strike 2 on the fringe. 34,310 standing. An ocean of blue in Kansas City. 2-2. Checked his swing, and Navarro went around. Strike 3. Duffy completes his first major league game.
Some performance by Danny Duffy. He went the distance, struck out 6, didn't walk anybody, did it under 100 pitches. A very impressive performance. Buries a curveball in the dirt. Deanna cannot check up his swing, and the Royals win the series 2-1.
Took 125 career appearances for Danny Duffy in 97 starts. He has his first complete game. And Slugger the Lion waves the flag in Kansas City for a Royals series win. 2-1 your final score on Getaway Day, and we'll wrap it up next.